America is the land of opportunity, especially if you're the president. Along with the keys to the White House, the job comes with a $400,000 salary plus travel and expense budgets. But presidents often earn far more once in office. Through business deals, investments, and other ventures, the presidency can become a path to immense wealth. We'll start with a concept you're probably sick of hearing about: crypto. As tired as ape JPEGs and slurp juices might be, this world is a cornerstone of the fortune President Trump has built. The Trump Organization's move into cryptocurrency was driven by necessity rather than enthusiasm. The president and his associates had experimented with crypto for years, but after the January 6th U.S. Capitol siege in 2021, traditional banking relationships became strained. Capital One and Deutsche Bank both severed ties. Considering Deutsche Bank's past controversies, from its dealings with Jeffrey Epstein to a major money laundering fine in 2018, being dropped by them underscored just how damaging the reputational fallout had become. But being shut out of traditional banking actually gave the Trump Organization the perfect excuse to go all-in on crypto. Under President Trump, the Securities and Exchange Commission streamlined crypto trading through Trump-branded exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. They were pushed under Trump media after a partnership with Singapore-based brokerage Crypto.com, who, by the way, had already donated millions to Trump's inauguration to get on his good side. In his second term, the president has vowed to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world, brushing off concerns about market volatility and environmental impact as minor speed bumps. Presidential support for major cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin has significantly boosted their market value. This surge has increased Trump's reported holdings, estimated at about $1.3 billion as of August 2025. That represents an impressive return on market speculation. That is even before considering his own branded meme coin, Trump, created with Zanker, who also helped to launch the infamous Trump trading card NFTTC. This token dropped only 3 days before Trump's second inauguration, and the second that he was sworn in, the price exploded. Sales of the tokens had netted $314 million in just 3 weeks, with plenty more left to sell. But it wasn't just the coin itself. Trump also owned the platform where they were being sold, netting him an additional $36 million in trading fees for a cool $350 million total. His wife Melania also launched a meme coin called Melania. While less prominent, it still generated an estimated $65 million through sales and trading fees. But we mentioned the volatility of crypto for a reason earlier, and it's the reason we're not just calling this an easy $400+ million for Team Trump. The value of Trump coin went from over $70 to below $10 by April, marking a sharp decline. However, Trump boosted the value again by announcing an exclusive dinner for the biggest 220 Trump holders with a VIP White House tour reserved for the top 25. That incentive pushed the token's price above $15 per coin. All told, between Trump and Melania's coins, the result is net earnings of around $385 million, bringing us to almost $1.7 billion for all of Trump's second-term crypto ventures. But crypto is just the tip of the iceberg. President Trump and his family pursued other avenues to help generate income during and after the presidency. First, we've got the massive profits that Trump made from his dealings in the Persian Gulf. A number of leaders from the Gulf states, which is to say Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, are heavy investors in American real estate. Incidentally, it was the same type of real estate that had long been central to the Trump family business. This also became a significant channel for financial negotiations between Trump and foreign leaders. Here's some vital context you need to understand. Gulf monarchies are basically dictatorships with rulers controlling their nation's vast oil wealth. That means they have absolute control over every business under their jurisdiction. So when a Trump company signs a deal there, it's essentially the president making a deal directly with the ruler. President Trump has stated that Saudi buyers purchased tens of millions of dollars worth of his condos as early as 2016. But that feels like Trump change rather than the Trump change he's making now off the deals in his second administration. After Trump left the White House in 2021, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, began courting Saudi investments for his private equity firm Affinity Partners. Against the objection of an advisory board, the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia made an astonishing $2 billion investment, causing the other Gulf states to follow, donating millions of their own capital to earn Trump's favor. Even when not actively president, the Donald still had a great deal of political influence in the U.S., so foreign leaders saw him as a worthy investment, and this investment actually ended up being extremely shrewd as it became increasingly apparent that Trump would retake the presidency in 2024. Making donations to Affinity Partners became a viable way to get on his good side. The Qatari monarchy kicked in $1.5 billion to the fund, bringing the total amount it was managing to an astonishing $4.8 billion. It is an impressive asset portfolio by anyone's standards, especially since Jared Kushner had never worked a day in private equity. Equity funds like this take a standard 2% fee per annum, which means a tasty $81 million for Affinity Partners every year. Over a typical 10-year cycle fund, that adds up to about $810 million. Roughly $320 million of that, after fees and costs, goes straight to Jared Kushner and by extension the Trump family. What does this deal have to do with Trump's presidency? Plainly spoken, this is a classic influence buying scheme. If the Persian Gulf states didn't believe that they would receive policy dividends when Trump took the presidency, it's unlikely these investments would have ever been made. Sorry, Jared, but let's go from Gulf to Gulf because the Affinity scheme is far from the only lucrative deal that the Trump family has locked in with the Saudis. For anyone not well-versed in Trump lore, he's a huge lover of golf and always has been. Prior to January 6th, he had a pretty sweet deal for the PGA Tour to take place at the Trump National Golf Club Bedminster in New Jersey. However, much like Deutsche and Capital One, the PGA cut ties, slicing that deal straight into the rough. That marked the beginning of Saudi involvement in golf, where they introduced their new tournament, LIV, hosted at Trump's Bedminster course. This incident seemed to kickstart a licensing frenzy in Saudi Arabia and beyond. Before we give you all the details on that, we should probably tell you what exactly licensing is because it's a key part of Trump's brand for decades now. Essentially, businesses pay a fee to license out Trump's name for their business, whether it's a building, a resort, a golf club, or some other miscellaneous venture, especially during the Apprentice era, where Trump's name was synonymous with the appearance of wealth and success. This could buy your business some good publicity. However, it is a risky move tying yourself to one person's name. The reputation of your business venture will forever be tied to that person. Then again, the reason you might license out Trump's name underwent a shift during the periods where he has political power. It's another avenue of buying influence, just like investments in Kushner's equity firm. There have been so many of these deals that you would probably get sick of them if we listed them all off here. But one of the most important ones was a Saudi-approved licensing deal for a Trump-branded hotel and resort in Muscat, Oman, along with a number of golf courses and condos across the Middle East. Not only will Trump be picking up considerable licensing fees, but the entire specifics of that deal have not been fully disclosed. Managing a new Trump golf course in Dubai alone could be a profit juggernaut, stacking even more cash on top of his Middle Eastern deals, but estimates put the total at about $15.8 million. And that is not even including the private jet. Oh, you forgot about the private jet. Probably because time flies, and so does Trump in Uber first-class style. Courtesy of the Emir of Qatar, he scored an all-expenses-paid Boeing 7478 luxury jet as an upgrade to Air Force One. On the used market, that jet could fetch around $150 million if the president chose to sell it, since its size and costs make it impractical for regular use. Upgrading the gifted jet to Air Force One security standards would likely cost over $1 billion, making this gift a real white elephant. Still, while it's not liquid cash, it is another extremely pricey asset that the Trump family has accumulated over the course of his second term. But it isn't just these wealthy Gulf nations inking high-dollar deals with the Donald. One of his proudest achievements so far is a property deal with the Vietnamese government, Trump Hotel Hungan. The sprawling hotel resort and golf course is projected to cost about $1.5 billion to build, with an estimated $5 million in licensing fees going to the president. It's also going to be the biggest Trump-branded resort in the world, which Trump himself would likely take as a personal point of pride. But Trump isn't the only one getting a great return on investment from this deal. Vietnam is actually one of the biggest beneficiaries of Trump's export tariffs on China, which has resulted in exports to the U.S. becoming a third of Vietnam's economy. The Trump Hotel Hungan has been viewed as something that could help ease tariffs and boost stable U.S. trade relations. And while these much larger deals are the lodestars of Trump's presidential portfolio, they are hardly the only moneymakers. Trump has built countless other revenue streams, beginning with Mar-a-Lago, his so-called Winter White House. This elite Florida social club on the waterfront has earned the president a cumulative $125 million by some estimations, and he's found a number of ways to creatively juice his numbers on that front. For starters, he made the habit of holding campaign rallies here and encouraged other Republican and conservative figures to do the same. Mar-a-Lago memberships, of which there are only 500 at any given time, have also become an extremely valuable way for people to buy political capital. An all-access pass to Mar-a-Lago provided direct exposure to the president and his close associates. One of President Trump's most lucrative ventures has been his private merchandise store. It's marketed like campaign swag, but every dollar goes straight to him, not his political fund. These include, but are by no means limited to, $50 Gulf of America baseball caps, $40 flip-flops, and $18 Trump beer koozies. In any case, Trump generated significant revenue from his merchandising efforts, but he is also a big believer in the classic phrase, "A penny saved is a penny earned." While there are laws against using campaign funds for personal legal struggles, the president did find a loophole. You can convert a campaign fund into a political action committee or a PAC, which is a lot less regulated in its spending habits. This has allowed Trump to essentially write off tens of millions in personal legal fees on his campaign donors' dime. And when you combine the money saved on legal fees and the money gained on merch, he get around $177 million. That's not to be sniffed at. But we're still not done, because if nothing else, Trump knows how to diversify his revenue streams. So we still have a few more slightly less lucrative, but no less important feathers in his cap. One of these comes less from Trump writing off his own legal fees and more on him compulsively suing others, especially for claims like defamation and leal. And in order to stay on the president's good side, plenty of large companies have settled on these suits with shockingly large payouts. Disney, for example, agreed to pay out $15 million to the Trump Presidential Library nonprofit to avoid the president's legal wrath. Mark Zuckerberg's pride and joy, Meta, also settled a lawsuit with the president and agreed to pay out $25 million to that same foundation. And there's more. Silicon Valley's crybaby and Chief Elon Musk also agreed to pay around $10 million to settle a suit on behalf of X, formerly Twitter. And then there's the so-called cash for pardons scandal. Wealthy offenders allegedly donated money, at least $75,000 worth, in exchange for presidential pardons. While modest compared to other ventures, the $75,000 in revenue was still a noteworthy sum. Add in Trump's settlements, the alleged pardon scheme, and even a bidding war over a documentary about his White House comeback, and that's another $91 million on the pile. If you're an obsessive follower of Trump's business ventures, you may be noticing a glaring omission, but don't worry, we're just getting to that now. Truth Social, it's the only social media site where Donald Trump is active. Despite previously being a prolific tweeter and even once an on and off YouTube vlogger. But Truth Social is different because it's the only social media site that has the ability to make Trump millions of dollars, so long as it remains the only site that he ever posts on. This all started when Trump was banned from Twitter in early 2021 after an incident that we've discussed plenty in this video already. But while you can take the Trump off Twitter, you can't take the Twitter out of Trump. The social media site was created through one of his less successful business ventures, Trump Media. It only has around 513,000 daily users. But seeing as one of them is the President of the United States, there's a lot of investor money to be had. Truth Social is basically Trump's all-caps megaphone, and because the press can't ignore his grand proclamations, they are obliged to mention it in their coverage, keeping its name in the news. Experts refer to Truth Social as a meme stock, its value tied more to vibes and feelings than to any real business fundamentals. Truth Social might be small compared to Trump's other ventures, but analysts still say it netted him between $20 and $25 million. But still, this is only the penultimate Trump presidential revenue stream. This is a triple threat, though its total revenue for the Trump family is slightly less than $20 million. It comes from collaborations between Trump's sons and donor Omid Malik, including a line of exclusive social clubs called Executive Branch. There's also Grab a Gun, an online firearms retailer which aligns with the family's interest in hunting. While these ventures are generally seen as having limited profit potential, another business opportunity stands out: 1,789 Capital, an equity firm with significant Trump family involvement. The firm has raised about $500 million in capital from various conservative megadonors such as the Mercer family, which means the Trumps will be taking their obligatory 2% fee at the very least. That much money in this many different financial deals can be a little dizzying to try to even think about. But what does all this really mean? The president's earnings appear to far exceed those of previous presidents, raising questions about how this trend should be taken. Are we entering the age of the presidential entrepreneur where the Oval Office isn't just about power, but about profit? Well, yes, but not as much as you think. The Trump Organization's approach has been a significant departure from other administrations. There's definitely a conversation to be had about the extent to which any of this is ethical, but none of it is really illegal. It's just something that previous presidents hadn't done for reputational reasons, and that includes Donald Trump himself during his first presidency, where he and his organization were actually a lot more restrained. Donald Trump Jr., the president's eldest son and executive vice president of the Trump Organization, put it bluntly, "It almost doesn't matter. They're going to hit you no matter what." He suggested that given the level of criticism already directed at the family, pursuing additional business opportunities carried little added risk. When you add up all the coins and the deals, the licensing, the lawsuits, and even the pardons, you get a number that no other president in U.S. history has come close to: an estimated $3.4 billion earned from the Oval Office. But this isn't just about Trump or his family fortune. It's about the president it sets and what political power really means going forward. Being the President of the United States is no longer just a calling if it ever was. It's an integrated business and branding move that can turn political capital into financial capital. President Trump's fortune is one thing, but keeping him safe is another level entirely. See just how far it goes in the insane protection of the President of the United States. This is Deep World Stories. Thanks for being with us.